Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We are back with another edition of the Rumour Mill, another One Leeds video. Please crack a like on the video. Please make sure you subscribed to the channel. Please make sure you're catching up on the debrief from last night. It was a fantastic show. We've put timestamps in there as well for you guys if you just want to skip to a particular part. But I thoroughly recommend going through the whole show. We've got extra bits on the Patreon as well, a bonus podcast on there this week. We're also looking to bring some more stuff on there this week as well, if you guys fancy that. We're going to be checking in on SofaScore throughout this stream. But guys, if you do want to download SofaScore, it's the best analytic tool for player breakdown. If you want to go on there and check out all the January transfer rumours, if you want to check the predicted lineup for Leeds versus Bristol City, the performance levels, we're going to touch on a couple of players who have been rated on SofaScore in the last couple of days, who Leeds have been linked to on this stream. So it's definitely well worth the free download link with the with One Leeds affiliate link in the description below. Well worth it, everyone. As I say, free of charge. Let's get into a few of your comments. Morning, Stefan. Morning, Jack. Hi, Connor. Good to see you. Hope all is well. All's good, my end, mate. Good morning, Connor and fans. Hey, Stephen. Sujal is in the building. Morning, Connor. What news today? Hi, Ken. Morning, Nige. Michael's in the building. Dale's in the building. JC, hi JC, and a load of people talking as well on what they want for the remainder of the window. We've got Joe here saying, for me, a creative midfielder and a first team fullback, and I'd be more than happy with that. Well, it aims to be a very, very quiet end, doesn't it? And I think we're all expecting that now. I don't think it's one of those where we're all shocked by the news at this moment in time. I think it'd be really surprising. I can see JC, who's very positive in the chat, which is fantastic to see. We need a bit of positivity around here when it comes to Leeds potentially signing a few. But it's interesting. We saw Southampton get David Brooks. Obviously, Leeds were targeted. Were mentioned as having him on a central attacking midfielder list. Brooks will probably revert into Southampton's right wing role if I'm to be correct with that. They are looking at Alcaraz leaving the club potentially as well. 35 million quid's been put on the table, which maybe frees up a central attacking midfield option that Southampton might exercise. We know that Leicester have brought in Sensi from Inter Milan, rising up to 2 million quid, which is a really good deal. And we also know Ipswich have obviously made a signing from a couple of days ago with the striker who's apparently Ali something or other. I can't profess to know his name, but it looks like he's one of the next big deals along with Sami Ento and Lewis Travis. So I think we're all wondering right now what's going on. And what I can tell you, everyone, is officially Ben Johnson, that deal is off now. I can see a lot of you in the comment section as of right now saying, well, it was never on. And you're probably right. You are probably right. It probably was never on. But that is definitely one who, when I followed up with someone, that was one that Leeds were looking at and Leeds were interested in. Godfrey as well. I've come on here plenty of times and mentioned Godfrey. That was one as well. But last night, interestingly enough, he racked up a 6.7 rating on SofaScore. Just rack up some of his stats here. And last night, as you can see, everybody, if I just scroll down to the Fulham Everton game, Ben was playing on the right hand side here, and you can see he plays along that back line normally. But last night he was playing at right back. So, yeah, racked up a 6.7 rating as well. And, yeah, as you can see down here, Ben Godfrey got a card and was 6.7 rated. So, yeah, I mean, listen, overall, we're getting to that point now, aren't we? We'll have transfer stuff for you tomorrow, everyone. But it's a lot of riff-raff at the minute, and this is what I'm trying to be honest with you on the Rumour Mill. It's more discussion. It's more we're having debates on why we should be going for players and discussions. I'm not coming on here and just BSing you guys. I personally don't think. I thought we might get one in, but I don't think we're going to get anyone. I can see a lot of people in the comment section below talking about Con Roberts. Where, if someone can tell me where he's going to play and why he will play in that position, we can have a convo about it. But it's not going to happen for me. and I don't really see where it's going to happen. Yeah, obviously it is deadline day. I should say that. I don't know. I'm getting my days all mixed up now. But yeah, I can't really foresee Leeds United getting that one done. I don't really see where he gets ahead. Archie Gray is your man there. Farker likes him in there. There's a lot of Leeds fans, probably including myself, who have seen him develop in that role and thought to themselves, well, do you know what? Maybe we should be giving him more of a chance there. And maybe I was wrong, and maybe he's going to be moved back into that role permanently. Maybe he is going to become a right back, and if he's playing in that role for the next 12 to 18 months, clubs will see him as a right back as well. He's not going to be seen as a central midfielder. So for me, listen, I would like Archie to play less games, but if you are to bring in another right back to challenge Archie Gray, you are going to have to bring in a right back who is going to start straight away over Archie Gray. I'm not convinced that Leeds United are going to go out there and buy a right back who is going to start above Archie Gray consistently this season. I think if we bring in someone, I mentioned this last night, we had this conversation on the debrief last night, if we are to bring someone in, they have to start. You know, you're not really bringing players in for bench options, and probably that's what we're looking at right now. John, I thought it was as well, deadline day. I think I've just got a little bit confused by the date there, to be honest, because I know it is 31st. Morning, Connor. Hiya, Daryl. Hope you're good. Benson, yeah, Benson's off as well, mate. Benson is off. That one isn't happening. Connor Roberts coming. I just don't see it, mate. I just don't see how it would work. Brooks and Sinistera on fire in the cup game. Yeah, it's a good little addition for it's a good little addition for Southampton, isn't it, that one? Does the window close tonight or tomorrow, says Sujal. Morning, Connor. Hi, Lofts. Stephen says, at this stage, it'll be refreshing to see no panic buys and stupid buys like we have done before. I guess that's one way of looking at it, mate. Trouble is the loans want minutes. Who can you drop at the minute? Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at, really. That's where I'm at. And Brandon, yeah, we were told, obviously, at the start of the window that, you know, by Angus Kinnear, that 2 loan spots are open. Obviously, Jed went, and now 3 loan spots are available. I presume when we're talking about what Daniel Farker's going to say in his press conference, I presume it's going to be on the lines of, if something comes up, we will make a move on it, but we are happy with the squad. It's what he's been saying the whole window. You know, it's always the same thing. So it's one of those where I do believe the squad has got weaker. I do, you know, it has. You know, Spencer's gone, Aylinger's gone. The depth in the squad has got weaker. Would those players start? And that's the problem you're having right now, because Jed Spence wouldn't have come to Leeds on the understanding that he was on the bench. He wouldn't have had that understanding. He'd have thought that he would have been starting week in, week out. And that's what I think the problem is when Leeds are selling the club now. You can't guarantee the players that are coming in. We're talking about Connor Roberts. We've spoken about Ben Davies earlier on in the window. You know, we've spoken about Godfrey. We've spoken about Ben Johnson. Can you really guarantee the minutes now? That's the problem. Leeds are selling the bench. You can't sell the bench to a Premier League player. You can't. And for me, at this moment in time, you're probably getting Farker going, well, you're going to have to work for that position, which, listen, he's not wrong. You do have to work. You have to be part of it, of course. And you have to earn your stripes. You're not just going to take Archie out of that right back spot, and Firpo's been brilliant, hasn't he? But I am very much of the opinion of you guys, where I've said multiple times on the stream, if they're happy with this right now, I do think this squad is good enough in terms of personnel right now, with the squad at its health right now, to be promoted. Either through the automatics, which I think would be a bit of a stretch still, in my opinion. But that is definitely an option. That is definitely something that Leeds can definitely do. But I think probably a more likely route at this moment in time is the playoffs. But I think Leeds should be winning the playoffs because of the quality of the side. We've knocked 8 goals past Ipswich, and I feel like if we were to go into the playoffs, it would be probably more Leeds and Ipswich instead of Leeds and Southampton, with what's going on right now in terms of the patterns and trends. That's not me saying, of course, that Leeds are not going to make the automatics, everybody. But I am more of the opinion, since we've not been in the top 2 the entire season, we could go into the top 2 on Friday night, but I am more of the opinion that Leeds will be in the playoffs toward the back end of the season. And I think the depth helps us just in so many ways, but the squad calibre as it is, we are the 2nd or 3rd best squad in the division. So I will be judging Daniel Farke as a football fan at the end of the season on if we are promoted, because I will be looking at Daniel Farke and I will be looking at the 49ers. Of course I will. I'll be looking at them as a collective at the end of the season. And if they've got promoted, I'll say, fantastic. What a job done. What a job done. In January, you decided to not do anything. We avoided injuries. We had high performers still, and we got promoted. Fantastic. But on the flip side, if a Joe Rodon gets injured, if an Ethan Ampadu gets injured, God, at this moment in time, if a Somerville got injured, the squad does feel very, very threadbare. But that comes back to my overriding point at the very start of the conversation. Leeds are trying to sell a bench at this moment in time, which is A, incredibly hard, but B, slightly unrealistic. Southampton have sold a starting spot for David Brooks. Leicester has sold a starting spot for Sensi. Sarmiento has been sold a starting spot. Lewis Travers has been sold a starting spot between Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton. So we're not doing that at the minute, in my opinion. Let's have a look at some of your comments. We don't have the financial clout to go and buy someone owing to restrictions, and it's hard to convince anyone to come in and sit on the bench. It would be good to get cover, though. It would, mate. But this is what I'm saying, that all of the targets now, John, the targets really make no sense for me. The targets make no sense. The ones that we're looking at, I mean, Fabrizio Romano confirmed the other day that we'd actually made a move for Chris Mepham. I mean, I guess on that, if you are to sell the story to Chris Mepham, Pascal Strout doesn't get back in, which I think is madness. You know, Mepham's a right footer, isn't he? I think Strauch is balanced on that centre-back partnership, but Mepham's not going to be coming in to sit on the bench. You know, he's still playing Premier League minutes now. So I guess that was once again the thing that you saw with Jayden Anthony as well. And if Anthony and Mepham will be talking, they will talk. Obviously, Bournemouth players there, they will be talking, and they'll have probably had a conversation. And you know, Anthony's probably not getting the minutes that he wanted at the start of the season. You know, would Anthony choose, knowing what he knows now about his minutes on the pitch, would he have chosen to come to Leeds? Probably not. So him and Mepham are probably having conversations about Daniel Farke in the background as well. But Bournemouth have reiterated that they don't want to sell Chris Mepham. And would Chris Mepham come to Leeds United to sit on the bench? Probably not. He's doing that at Bournemouth, so why would he come to Leeds to do that? Ben Godfrey, would he get in at centre-back, which is his preferred position that he said on several interviews? Probably not. So he'll be funneled out to right back, and then would he get into right back? Ben Johnson. The sales pitch would be, well, it's between you and Archie, but why do I need to do that when I can earn a new contract at West Ham, which apparently they're willing to do, or I can go to Crystal Palace, who are interested in me as well. So the sales pitch at the minute, everyone's very, very difficult. But as I've said, right now, we are still, with the squad, how it is, let me reiterate this several times, we are obviously, right now, threadbare, and that's why I would make additions. However, when you look at the squad right now, please do not judge Daniel Farke at the end of the season, because this is probably, if we are, hypothetically, to be in this division for the next however many years, might not be, might go back up, or might go back up next season. But if we are, this is one of the best squads, in my opinion, the Championship has seen in terms of calibre/quality. So don't let this January transfer window, a little bit of a message from me to you, don't let this skew your opinion of why Leeds should be up this season. We are one of three richest sides in this division. We have a rich array of quality, and as I've just mentioned, calibre, artillery, to go at many other teams. The problem is this season at points we've been complacent. We've been in gear 1 when we should be in gear 5. And when we have been in gear 5, we've been exhilarating and teams haven't been able to cope with us. So it's the job of the player to obviously get up to that level, but it's also the job of the manager to get the best, and his staff to get the best out of that player, players, plural. So we still do need to judge. We still do need to look upon this side as not just being fleeced by the 49ers, as I'm hearing some fans say. I said some fans the other day saying, oh, Daniel Farke's not been backed. He's been backed. The summer window was very, very good. A few profiles still missing. I would still like profiles in this window as well, but the squad is still very, very good. Do not let that skew your opinion of where Leeds should be finishing. We should not be finishing behind Ipswich. you know? And I think that's how the 49ers will be judging this, 100%. This isn't an old Leeds United team. This isn't a Leeds under, Gary Monk or Marcelo Bielsa with the caliber of player he was working with. Darko Milanic, Steve Evans, Warnock. It's not Brian McDermott days. These are very, very, very good players at this level. Jorginho Rutter, 30 million Dortmund in the summer. Crysencio Somerville, 25 million Crystal Palace and Burnley. Willie Gnonto, 25 million and above to Everton. These are all values put on our players' heads, and they're still with us in the Championship. Let's get into a few of your comments. So Gelhart staying then. We won't win the playoffs. I think we will win the playoffs. It's an interesting conversation, that people talking about the playoffs, and it's all based on superstition, and I understand it, and I've fed into that before, but you can't feed into that with the quality of team, in my opinion, that we've got. Everyone keeps saying don't panic, but at what panic? But do we panic about all rivals being strengthened? Yeah, we do, mate. But this is what I'm saying. West Aussie Leeds, like, none of these are starting players for our rivals. They're starting players. Sarmiento, Travis, Ali coming in from Wimbledon for Ipswich, all starters. Caden Jackson isn't good enough. George Hurst is out for the season. Lewis Travis was Blackburn's captain. He'll be starting for them 100%. And then look at Sarmiento, who scored, 2 goals in 2 games. You know, these players are going to be starters over a long period of time. You look at Brooks coming in for Southampton. That's a proper signing. Joe Rothwell, proper signing. You know, they are Premier League players, aren't they? So they're going to be starting for Southampton. Leicester City, Sensi from Inter Milan was seen as 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago, players that people were talking about him in articles as if he was going to be the next big thing at Leicester in the Championship. So these are players that are going to be starting. Leeds have deemed it adequate, and this isn't our opinions. It's not our opinions, but Leeds have deemed it adequate so far that anybody who comes in ultimately has to improve our starting 11. Yeah, which, fair enough, is a good sort of business strategy. If they don't deem certain personnel good enough to be of that level of our starting 11, that's all right. I think the difference here for me, everybody, is if we bring in additions now, this is where my mind is, Leeds can get a firm top 2. And if we got 2 players in who I was really confident in, saw real quality in there, I would say it's top 2's on. But right now, the quality of the side, I think, would win the playoffs, but would be in the playoff race. That's where my head is at with it really. Because I keep getting people say, "Oh, Connor, you're contradictory. You seem all right with it now." I'm not all right with it whatsoever. I still think we need additions, but my hierarchy with it is if we brought players in now, I think we'd get top 2, personally. If we don't bring any players in, I think we will win the playoffs, and we should be winning the playoffs with the quality of side we have. That's where my head's at. So there we go. Obviously, the playoffs is a little bit more here and there, but the quality of the side should be getting promoted either or. Stephen Ward says, trouble is we need someone better than what we got loans, want minutes and who to drop. Yeah. Good morning, Connor. Hi, Rich. I was doing security at Fulham v Everton last night, and all the Everton fans saying how, yeah, Godfrey is, he didn't get a good rating, mate. I think he got just mentioned it there, a 6.6 or a 6.7, which was one of the worst on the pitch. We lose Roden and Kamara. We've got a back 2 of Coops and Cresswell. Yeah. All this talk of selling players, the bench is a bit snowflakey to me. Any player worth his salt should be willing to knuckle down and fight for that first team place. If not, do really want that type. Yeah, I mean, hopefully hopefully, Rich, these players are willing to fight. I mean, I quite like the stuff with Cresswell, to be honest with you, because he evidently wanted to play football. Farke didn't like that. He didn't like how he went about it, but Cresswell wanted to play football and start for Leeds United. I like that grit, that determination. Liam Cooper has rejected an offer from Blackburn because he wants to stay and fight for his place. So even if we were to lose Rodon and Strauch in the horrendous circumstance, and Cresswell and Cooper would come in, it would be a very, very, very few levels below those starting centre-backs. But I guess when you're talking about grit, determination, fight, those two are willing to stay at Leeds United for that reason. And believe it or not, this will be very strange, but Cresswell's probably hoping probably hoping for a Joe Rodon injury at some point so he can showcase his skills, because he's going back in his career, not forward. Dal Scott says, would like to have signed a top keeper in if we stay with this squad. Mate, if we do get to the Premier League and we keep this guy in net, we're probably going straight back down. Probably are. It's facts. 62% save percentage. Nowhere near good enough. We're near a number 9 because if Bam Bam gets injured, which is 70% chance, and that will happen. Yeah, Justin, and I guess that's the problem, mate. We know, and this is why Leeds fans were quite scared, because people will tell everyone to calm down, and I do find that slightly patronising and frustrating when people say, just calm down, we'll be fine, because it's almost just not looking at anything that's happened with Leeds previously. Data, patterns, and trends with certain players will always, sort of ignite a certain perspective, okay? And the reason it ignites a certain perspective is because, let's say, Junior Firpo, what have we seen in his injury from late Betis days? Injuries. In his career, injuries. What have we seen for Patrick Bamford for the best part of 4 years? Injuries. What have we seen from Sam Byram in his entire career? Injuries. So that's why everybody's nervous, and quite rightly so. Quite rightly so. Because that's an intelligent way of looking at it. That's risk management. That's looking long-term and not short-term. But the difference right now, I believe, is a lot of fans are thinking, well, we've got, and this is backed up by the notion that fans wouldn't have Strout back in. Arguably top 3 centre-backs, if not the best centre-back in the division. They wouldn't have him back in because Ampadu's won, 5 games, 4 or 5 games, whilst he's been in the side. Pascal Struijk is a better centre-back. All his attributes are led to a centre-back. He's unbelievable, especially at this level. And he's been so good this year, so consistent, which is what people are asking for with Struijk. He's been so consistent. He's got 6 goals, for goodness sake. So he's adding a lot of things to his game. But it's the recency thing, isn't it? A lot of it is the recency thing. It's well, Ampadu's been in, we've been winning games. As if Strout wasn't in, we wouldn't be winning games, So it's looking at that long-term side of things. Michael, new member of the YouTube memberships. Shout out to you, buddy. I know you've been on there before. I'm the Patreon. Subscribe to the Patreon, everyone, if you want some bonus podcasts. We're going to be doing transfer podcasts and all that sort of stuff coming up. We'll have a Generation Leeds coming up there as well. Sean, thank you so much for your donation, buddy. I'm still not sold on Farker. The way he manages is not great. Blames players, not himself. He could get us up. I just feel the Premier League, it could be a disaster. Yeah, I mean, I've got to try play the balancing game here, because I do give my honest opinion, but I also want to be rational and a little bit more, in the middle, really. I'll judge Farker properly at the end of the season. But, yeah, I mean, Premier League, he's not had a good record there. So, yeah, I understand where your head's at there. Just no idea, says Dan. Says Danny, morning all. But yeah, keep getting your comments in, everybody. Good managers change formations to fit their best players. They do indeed. If it was guaranteed to not get any injuries, would you be happy with the squad? Obviously injuries, but just curious. Good question, Ben. Good question. For promotion, yeah. Yeah, for promotion. I probably revert to my other point, Ben, where I've said top 2. In my opinion, I think we need a body or 2. I do think we need a body or 2. But for the playoffs, where we have more than a good enough squad, I think I don't mind it whatsoever. Playoffs don't go off form. Yeah, but Chris, they go on quality, mate. They go on quality. When is Pascal back, says Sujal, we don't know, mate. We don't know, which is presumably why they're after the likes of Chris Mepham and Ben Godfrey. We know we'll get more injuries between now and the end of the season. We don't sign no one. We will not go up. We never win the playoffs either. I think injury Pascal is worse than the club sent. I agree, Stephen. I don't know if anybody has ever experienced, maybe not had it yourself, but has ever experienced an adductor injury. They're horrendous. They're absolutely horrendous. So obviously, they're depends on what type of one he's got. Either Farke has a master plan or he's stubborn and incompetent. Hopefully the latter won't be his legacy. I think what we are going to see today is probably him come out and say what we expect him to say, which is we are curious, we are looking at the market, but overall, we are just, we're not going to just rush. I think that's what you're going to get from Farke today. See, Nat Phillips has gone to Cardiff on loan. Why we're not gone for that one? Because he's going to start, Dale. Because he's going to start. And yeah, latter part of this news, everybody, on the rumour mill is that it looks like Willian Gnonto is going to be signing the contract. It could be today, could be tomorrow. The timing will be very interesting, but it looks like it's either going to be today or tomorrow from what I've read this morning. So, Willian Gnonto looks like he's going to be signing the contract, which I think is really good for the club. I think it's a really good move, and I don't think everybody should sort of get really sort of upset with that in terms of, we went brought a signing, but we've got Willie on a bigger contract. I do think that's a really good addition for Leeds. I think in terms of a longer contract, in terms of convincing him to stay potentially when we're in the Premier League, or even potentially if we're in the Championship. And listen, if we are in the Championship next season or whatever, we're going to get a really decent fee for Willian Gnonto. So I think it's a really good bit of business when it comes to Leeds and getting Gnonto in. Yeah, really, really happy with that one. Andy, a member of the channel, says, one right back is all we can hope for. We are one injury suspension away from being in lumber, but there is still time for a surprise signing. That's where recruitment comes into it, Andy. That's where recruitment comes into it. Like we've said plenty of times, mate, they're signing for the bench at the minute. So if you can acquire a Premier League player and say to him, look, if there is a massive chance you will displace a certain player within the side, if you perform, the player will, they'll have to be, tick boxes here, there, and everywhere. But if you give them that guarantee, then maybe they'd be willing to become a Premier League player. I think the reason Godfrey made a lot of sense was because he was a Farke player. Farke brought him in. We've seen with Byram that he was the only one. We were the only club in for Sam Byram, which has been admitted by Sam Byram. No other clubs were in for him at this level. So he brought his boy in a sense, and then he tried to get Kenny McLean at Norwich, and you do fully believe that if Kenny McLean was at Leeds, he'd be starting week in, week out. So I think Farke, almost the ones that he's potentially brought in, players that he's brought in previously to other clubs, I think if they were to come into Leeds United, there'd be a bigger chance that they would start because they're Farke's boys. So if Godfrey was to come in, I'd be fully expecting him, not just on quality, but also expecting him, because he's Farke's boy, to be starting for Leeds week in, week out, probably over an Archie Gray. But as of right now, you do think that that a lot of those first 11 are going to be really hard to displace. I presume the Sinistera coming back to Leeds. Rumours went nowhere in the end. No, Sujal, all went quiet. To be honest, Darryl says we don't want to spend willy-nilly. Players must be good enough for Premiership. All players are not willing to are not getting minutes at their clubs. And that's my question to you guys. And I've said it plenty of times. But Ben brought a good point up there. And I'm not saying it's realistic. But even with doomsday scenario, is this team good enough to get promoted? It is, isn't it? It is. But I think we all are in a little bit of a self-destruct mode, and we all think that the worst is going to happen. The worst might not happen. Junior Firpo hasn't broken down yet. Bamford hasn't broken down yet. Rodon hasn't broken down and hasn't really shown any signs of doing so. Yes, we need additions, but overall, when you look at it, Leeds are more than good enough to get promoted, and that's ultimately what we want. So a lot of fans, I believe, some are just thinking calm down in a sense of we don't need to anymore. We're okay. We're fine. This squad's more than good enough to get promoted. Fair enough. You don't want to break the bank. A lot of these players are on silly money as well. Robert's on a lot of money. Ben Godfrey's on a ridiculous salary. So we've got to be careful there as well. David says, Connor, do you share my thoughts on last Saturday's performance in that I thought we looked tired and leggy? With Bristol playing last night, I would think they'll be like that. Dave, there's no excuse, mate. There's no excuse. Bristol City playing last night, away from home at Coventry. We've got about, how many days on them? 6 or 7? Rested. look, we've got 5 games where we're going to be travelling a lot. Plymouth's in there, Swansea's in there, obviously Bristol's in there. But once again, just comes back down to quality. It comes down to preparation. This team is more than good enough. So yeah, guys, I'm going to leave it there. We'll have something else throughout the day as well. Please leave a like on the stream before you go. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. Head on over to Patreon as well if you fancy some bonus content. Let me know what you think in terms of players coming in. I do read all of your comments. YouTube memberships. Michael's just joined. Shout out to you. You can press the join button just down below. It's £2 a month and it really helps the running of the channel. You get your own little icon and stuff there, and I will read your comments out first, of course. As I say, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining. Leave a like on the video, subscribe. I'll see you in a bit.